Hello students, welcome back to my channel Leslie's All-in-One. As you all know, in the previous video, we briefly discussed about the causes or reasons of the First World War. Just to recall, only three causes we discussed, that is nationalism and imperialism. It is also known as aggressive nationalism or militant nationalism. The second cause is division of Europe into two hostile groups, and the third cause is Sarajevo crisis. It is also known as assassination of Archduke Francis Ferdinand or immediate cause of the First World War. The question they might give you for 3 marks: state, mention or explain. Just you need to write 3 points. Today I am going to explain to you all the first cause, that is nationalism and imperialism. It is also known as aggressive nationalism or militant nationalism. The first thing what we have to know about nationalism and imperialism is we should know the meaning of nationalism. So what is nationalism? Nationalism refers to the feeling of oneness who share a common history, language and culture. Nationalism means patriotism. We love our country, don't we? Everyone loves their country. In the beginning, they had a feeling of oneness. We are one country. We have to come together. We have to be united. That's called nationalism. They might ask you a question: what do you mean by nationalism? Nationalism refers to the feeling of oneness who share a common history, language and culture. Now what happened because of this nationalism? This feeling of oneness turned into extreme pride, which made the people of many countries believe that their country is superior to other countries. See, when you start loving your country, it's good. We should love our country. Okay, we should respect our country. It doesn't mean that we should hate other countries unless and until they harm us. For example, you love yourself. Yes, everyone love themselves, right? I love myself, but it doesn't mean that I should hate others because I love my country, I love myself, but I don't hate others. So but here what happened, the feeling of oneness, this nationalism led to aggressive nationalism. Got it? Hope you have understood the first point. Nationalism meaning we understood, right? It is a feeling of oneness who share a common history, language and culture. But this feeling of oneness turned into what? Extreme pride, where the people thought that their country is the best and other country is the worst. They are the best, others are the worst. They are superior and others are inferior. That's what feeling came to each and every citizen of the particular countries. Got it? And therefore this nationalism led to aggressive nationalism. Okay, now what is aggressive nationalism? Aggressive nationalism is also known as militant nationalism. Aggressive nationalism or militant nationalism means love for one's own country demanded hatred for other countries. I love my country, but I hate other countries. That's what the feeling came into each and every person. Okay, so first it was nationalism. Nationalism is very good. Okay, it's like patriotism. We love our country. But what happened because of nationalism? Nationalism turned to aggressive nationalism. So what is aggressive nationalism? The love for one's own country demanded hatred for others. I love my country, that's very good, but I hate other country, that is very bad. So nationalism is good, but aggressive nationalism is bad. But what happened during the First World War? Nationalism led to aggressive nationalism or militant nationalism. Each country thought of their own interest. Everyone thought of themselves. They were not bothered about others. For example, I loved myself, at the same time I started to hate others. And I only thought about myself. I became selfish I loved only myself and I started to hate others. Same thing happened. Each country thought of their own national interest and were not bothered about others' national interest, other countries' interests. They were not bothered. They just wanted myself, I am the best, I am the best, you are the worst. Same thing happened. Each country thought they are the best and others are the worst. France, they wanted to be the superior. Okay, Italy, they wanted to be superior. Serbia, they wanted to be superior. Everyone wanted to be superior. How can they be superior? By taking back whatever they had lost, by showing that they are the best. So France wanted to get back its provinces of Alsace and Lorraine from Germany. Okay, so France wanted to fight against Germany and they wanted to take the provinces of Alsace and Lorraine. They might ask you a question. Name the provinces that France wanted to get back from Germany. Very important question, 1 mark question. France wanted to get back its provinces of Alsace and Lorraine from Germany. In the same way, Italy also wanted to get back the territory of Trentino-Tresti from Austria. Name the territory that Italy wanted to get back from Austria. Okay, so please understand, Trentino-Tresti, they wanted a territory of Trentino-Tresti from Austria. Even Serbia wanted to unite all their fellow nationals who were in different countries to come together and form a strong, greater Balkan state. Then they might ask you a question. What did Serbia want from their fellow nationals? What did the Serbia want? They wanted all the fellow nationals to come together, okay, from other states to come together and form a greater Balkan state. They might ask you a question. Give examples for military nationalism, or give examples for aggressive nationalism. In case if they ask you this question for 3 marks, your answer should be France wanted to get back its provinces of Alsace and Lorraine from Germany. Italy wanted to get back the territory of Trentino-Tresti from Austria. Serbia wanted their fellow nationals who lived in other states to come together and form a greater Balkan state. In order to protect their national prestige, every country began to increase her military power. There was a competition, okay, between each countries. One country said, I have 10,000 military power. So the other country wanted to show that they are the best. So they said, we have 20,000. And another country said they have 30,000. They started to increase their military power. So when they increase the military power, will they keep quiet? Will they keep the military in the exhibition just for show off? No, they try to use their military power against others, right? Thus, aggressive nationalism or militant nationalism led to rise of imperialism. So we should know the meaning of imperialism. What do you mean by imperialism? Imperialism is a system where a powerful nation establishes control over other nations. They might ask you a question for 1 marks. What do you mean by imperialism? Imperialism is a system where a powerful nation establishes control over other nations. There were many countries who were very powerful. For example, England and France. They didn't want to keep quiet. They always wanted to control over other nations. They always wanted to conquer the other weaker nations, and they did it. And once these countries were conquered, they were declared as colonies. By the end of 19th century, as I already said, England and France built a huge colonial empire in Asia and Africa. So these imperial nations, example England and France, they didn't keep quiet. They started to attack and conquer one by one countries, and they built a huge colonial empire in Asia and Africa. Again, they might ask you a question, 1 mark question. Name the countries that built a huge colonial empire in Asia and Africa. England and France. England and France are the countries that built a huge colonial empire in Asia and Africa. So they did not only conquered, not only they made the colonies, but they exploited the resources that were available in those countries. They didn't keep quiet. They exploited those colonies, that is India, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Egypt. And there were many other countries. Please remember 4 countries, because they might ask you, name the countries that were exploited by England and France, or name the countries that were exploited by the imperial nations. Now let us discuss some important questions. What do you mean by nationalism? It might come for 1 mark. Nationalism refers to the feeling of oneness who share a common history, language, and culture. What do you mean by aggressive nationalism or militant nationalism? Love for one's own country demanded hatred for other countries is known as aggressive nationalism or militant nationalism. Name the provinces wanted by France from Germany. Alsace and Lorraine. Name the territory wanted by Italy from Austria. Trentino Trieste. Remember Trentino Trieste. These all are 1 mark questions. What did Serbia want from their fellow nationals? Serbia wanted their fellow nationals who lived in other countries to come together and form a greater Balkan state. Give 3 examples for aggressive nationalism or militant nationalism. The same thing. France wanted Alsace and Lorraine. Italy wanted Trentino Trieste. Serbia wanted their fellow nationals to come together and form a greater Balkan state. The 7th question. What do you mean by imperialism? Imperialism is a system where a powerful nation controls over other nations. Name the countries that built up a huge colonial empire in Asia and Africa. England and France. Name the continents in which France and England built up a huge colonial empire. Where did they build a huge colonial empire? Asia and Africa. Name the countries that were exploited by imperial nations. Which were the imperial nations? 2 imperial nations, France and England. India, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Egypt were the countries that were exploited by imperial nations. Now, objective type of questions. Nationalism led to dash. Imperialism, aggressive nationalism, division of Europe, none of the above. So we know it, right? Nationalism led to aggressive nationalism. And second question, aggressive nationalism led to what? Imperialism. Nationalism led to aggressive nationalism. Aggressive nationalism led to imperialism. Which were the countries that built a huge colonial empire in Asia and Africa during 19th century? America and France, England and France, America and England, none of the above. So which is the answer? Obviously B, England and France. Now in this, the most important question they might ask is for either 3 marks or 2 marks. You should remember all these points. I've already explained to you all. They might ask you a question, explain nationalism and imperialism or militant nationalism or aggressive nationalism. Nationalism means feeling of oneness who share a common history, language and culture. Nationalism led to aggressive nationalism. Aggressive nationalism or militant nationalism means love for one's own country demanded hatred for others. An example for aggressive nationalism or militant nationalism are France wanted Alsace and Lorraine, Italy wanted Trentino Trieste from Austria, Serbia wanted all their fellow nationals to come together and form a greater Balkan state. And thus aggressive nationalism led to imperialism. So you should write the meaning of imperialism. Imperialism is a system where a powerful nation establishes control over other nations. Once conquered, this country was made as a colony. And imperial nations didn't keep quiet. After making colonies, these imperial nations exploited the resources of these colonies. And we already know, right? 2 countries which built a huge colonial empire, that is France and England. And they exploited, which are the countries they exploited? There are many countries, but we have to remember India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka. Hope you all have understood. And if you have any doubts, please comment and let me know. All the very best. We'll meet you very soon in the 3rd part of the First World War.